U.S. Lacrosse presents the 2013 Rule Interpretation DVD.
Thank you for taking the time to view and learn from this Rules Interpretation DVD. Whether you're an official, coach, or spectator, understanding the rules and enforcing them in a standardized way is a key component to keeping the men's game safe and fun for all of its participants. U.S. Lacrosse is the only organization providing a comprehensive sport-specific official certification, and it represents the standard of training designed to keep the game safe, fair, and fun. This DVD is just one of many educational tools that the U.S. Lacrosse Officials Training and Education Program provides to its members. By watching this video, you've already taken an important step in raising your game, personally and within your region. A rule interpretation is merely one component of official certification. Completing the other requirements is essential to standardizing the quality of officiating on the field. Likewise, coaches, administrators, and parents must be good consumers of officiating services and only use those officials who have completed U.S. Lacrosse certification and demand at least 2 officials on every contest. All lacrosse participants have a responsibility to support the mission of U.S. Lacrosse to inspire participation while protecting the integrity of the sport. To accompany and support the existing certification standards for coaches and officials, USL has established the Gold Stick Standards of Excellence for lacrosse leagues. With an emphasis on player safety and a positive playing experience, these operational guidelines set high but attainable standards for teams, leagues, and programs to establish the most impactful and fulfilling experience possible for their youth who play the sport of lacrosse. U.S. Lacrosse Gold Stick Standards of Excellence represent the best practices that should be incorporated by quality youth lacrosse programs, whether they are in established, well-resourced areas or serving emerging, less resourced communities. At their best, youth lacrosse programs provide young people with a safe environment in which to have fun, build character, learn sportsmanship, and develop life skills that help them become responsible adults. To learn more, please visit uslacrosse.org. This DVD also includes specific instruction regarding the Youth Rules Initiative, a comprehensive approach to providing youth at all levels with an appropriate set of rules by which to play, maximize their development and love of the game. If you'd like any additional information on any of these programs, please visit uslacrosse.org. Thanks for all that you give to the game, and good luck in your season.
NFHS is proud to partner with U.S. Lacrosse to bring you this important Rules Interpretation DVD. Since 1920, the National Federation of State High School Associations has led the development of education-based interscholastic sports and activities that help students succeed in their lives. We set directions for the future by building awareness and support, improving the participation experience, establishing consistent standards and rules for competition, and helping those who oversee high school sports and activities. NFHS views this U.S. Lacrosse Rule Interpretation video as an excellent training tool for boys lacrosse officials. For additional resources, officials should consider the NFHS Interscholastic Officiating course available at the National Federation website, and the U.S. Lacrosse Officials Education and Training Certification Program, a sport-specific, comprehensive training and certification program for boys lacrosse officials.
Before introducing the 2013 points of emphasis, let us first review the points of emphasis for the 2012 lacrosse season. The NFHS Rules Committee called attention to 4 points of emphasis for officials, coaches, and players to focus on. Players calling attention to themselves after a goal scored, deliberately grabbing the ball with a hand on the face-off, illegal checks, and equipment inspections. The committee reminds officials that while every season there are new points of emphasis, the previous season's points of emphasis remain important. 2013 points of emphasis. The points of emphasis identified for the 2013 boys lacrosse season are hits to the head and/or neck, properly worn equipment, sideline sportsmanship, and field dimensions. Hits to the head and/or neck. In response to the growing evidence of the long-term effects from concussions, the NFHS has revised and clarified the rules relating to contact or blows to the head and/or neck. These rule revisions are intended to better define when multiple minute penalties, non-releasable penalties, or ejections are warranted. The following clips show a few examples of illegal contact to the head or neck area. In this first clip, Red number 3 has the ball and is breaking towards the goal. The long stick defender towards the top of the goal slides and makes deliberate and excessive contact with the player's head. This play was penalized correctly by the officials and resulted in a multiple-minute non-releasable penalty for the defender. Watch it again in real time. Notice how the lead official is in the correct position to make the call. In this next play, there is less than 2 minutes of play remaining with the white team leading and in possession of the ball. White must keep it in the box, and White is trying to run out the clock when he loses the ball. Watch the red defenseman as the players compete for a loose ball. He engages in the action and deliberately makes contact with the white player's neck area with a cross-check. Watch it again, and notice how the official is in the correct position to see the play, and he makes the correct call. Even though there is limited time left in this game, these officials made the right call by assessing a multiple-minute non-releasable penalty on the red defender for deliberately targeting the head and neck of his opponent. In this last play, watch how after a shot there is a loose ball in front of the crease. As play continues, watch the white attackman number 8. As he makes contact, he continues to follow through to the head and neck of the red defenseman. The officials in this play were again in the correct position to make the call and correctly assessed a multiple-minute non-releasable foul for the player initiating contact to the head and neck of his opponent. Officials must call such violations strictly and impose appropriate penalties as described in the rules. Coaches must instruct players on how to avoid such contact and support officials when these calls are made. Players, coaches, officials, parents, and fans must all work together to minimize risk for all players in this area. For more information, educational resources, and content for coaches, officials, players, parents, and fans in regards to concussions and player safety, please visit www.uslacrosse.org/safety. Properly worn equipment. The rules of play require players to wear a number of items of protective equipment, including a helmet with a face mask, mouth guard, protective gloves, shoulder pads, arm pads, and shoes. Furthermore, the rules state that these items must be professionally manufactured and not altered in any way. Coaches, officials, and players are reminded that these items must be properly fitted and properly worn at all times to maximize protection. Items of protective equipment that are improperly fitted increase the risk of injury for players. Likewise, items that have been altered from the original manufacturer's specifications reduce the protective characteristics of the product. Helmet. The helmet must be designed for lacrosse and meet the NOXI test requirements. The helmet must have a face mask and a chin strap that is firmly attached at all times. Mouthpiece. All players must wear a professionally manufactured intraoral mouthpiece that protects the teeth and supporting structure while also protecting and separating the biting surfaces. All mouthpieces should be properly fitted to the individual's teeth. The mouthpiece shall be of any color other than clear or white and must be worn correctly during play. Gloves. Gloves are to be padded with unaltered palms that are made specifically for lacrosse. Shoulder pads. Shoulder pads are made specifically for lacrosse and in no way are altered from the manufacturer's original construction. Shoulder pads are optional for a goalkeeper. Arm pads. Arm pads should be placed over the elbow and be made specifically for lacrosse. Arm pads are optional for a goalkeeper. Optional equipment. Optional but recommended equipment are rib pads and a protective cup. Goalie equipment. In addition to the helmet, gloves, and mouthpiece, the goalie is required to wear at all times a throat protector and a chest protector. The NFHS highly recommends and encourages all players to wear a protective cup while participating in boys lacrosse. Coaches and players are reminded that protective equipment should be worn properly not just during games, but during practices and exhibitions in order to minimize risk and potential injury to the student athletes. For additional information regarding protective equipment, please visit www.uslacrosse.org/rules. Sideline sportsmanship. Coaches, both head and assistants, must be positive role models in all aspects of sportsmanship. Coaches are in a position to have the greatest effect on teaching good sportsmanship, and one of their fundamental responsibilities is to inspire players to conduct themselves in a manner which best represents the values of sports. Certainly the most effective way to accomplish this is through modeling positive behavior. Coaches must consistently show respect for officials and opposing players and expect the same from his or her players. Both head and assistant coaches must maintain the highest degree of sportsmanship and integrity at all times. More information, tips, and resources for coaches, parents, and players on sportsmanship, competing with class, and honoring the game can be found at www.uslacrosse.org/honorthegame. Field dimensions. The first criterion in providing equitable conditions is to provide proper field conditions. Concerns have been raised regarding improper field size and/or markings. It is the responsibility of the home administration to provide a safe and legal size playing field that is correctly marked. That includes, but is not limited to, proper length and width, complete and correct field markings, coaches area, bench area, penalty area, limit lines, and placement of cones or pylons. The preferred width of a lacrosse field is 60 yards. The rules, however, allow games to be played on fields that are 53 1/3 yards wide. If a field has both football and soccer markings, which are 63 yards in width, and no lacrosse lines available, the football marking should be used as the soccer width is illegal. Also, please note that the NFHS Rule 1, Section 2, Article 6 now permits a center X at midfield, or a 4-inch square that is contrasting to the midfield line. For a guide on how to properly line a field, please visit www.uslacrosse.org/rules. 2013 rule changes. For the 2013 season, a continued focus on sportsmanship and minimization of risk to players are central to the rule changes approved by the NFHS. Increased uniformity and standardization among different rule codes, including the U.S. Lacrosse rules for youth boys lacrosse, are also reflected in many of the rule changes. Rule 1, Section 5, the ball. The rule now states that the ball shall be white, yellow, orange, or lime green, solid rubber, and meet the current NOCSI lacrosse ball standard. The ball shall also include the NFHS authenticating mark. Game balls shall be supplied by the home team, and white balls shall be used unless both coaches agree prior to or during the game to use a yellow, orange, or lime green ball. Rule 1, Section 8, Cross Prohibitions. In 2013, any string or leathers hanging from the stick may now only be 2 inches in length. This is a change from the previous hanging length of 6 inches. Coaches should remind and check their players' sticks before each contest for legality. It is recommended that officials arrive at least 20 minutes before the scheduled start time to complete their pre-game responsibilities and be available to check the player's stick and/or equipment prior to the game. Rule 1, Section 9, Article 2E, Protective Cups. Due to the speed of the game and the ball, contact associated with the game, and inconsistency in shooting and passing inherent to the game, lend themselves to encourage use of all available options to minimize risk for participants. Resulting from this rationale, the NFHS has now added a protective cup as a recommended piece of equipment for all players. Rule 1, Section 12, and Rule 6, Section 5, Article 2S. Game administration. Rule 1, Section 12 now states that at the beginning of the game, the home team is required to provide a scorebook, a timing device, a table, and a working horn. Rule 6, Section 5, Article 2S reflects the clarification in Rule 1, Section 12 by making it an illegal procedure for failure by the home team to provide a scorebook, timing device, table, and a working horn. In addition, officials are reminded to arrive to the field at least 20 minutes prior to the contest to brief the bench and table personnel and to ensure that they have the required game administration tools. For official scorer and timer directions that officials or team administrators can access and provide to the scorers, please visit the U.S. Lacrosse Officials Resource section on uslacrosse.org. Rule 2, Section 5, Article 2, Game Officials. The NFHS now allows an additional option for state associations and officiating groups with an option for black shorts. Officiating groups and state associations are reminded that uniforms should be consistent across the state or local area. Officials' uniforms should fit properly, be clean, and neat. All officials working a particular contest are to be dressed the same and should communicate 24 to 48 hours prior to the contest to agree upon a uniform. U.S. Lacrosse provides a convenient checklist for officials at all levels on their website in their Officials Resources section. Rule 4, Section 3, Article 5, Facing Off. To be consistent with other rule codes, including the U.S. Lacrosse rules for youth boys lacrosse, the NFHS has added that officials are to vary the cadence of sounding their whistle for each face-off after stating the word set. Rule 4, Section 3, Article 6, and Rule 5, Section 10, Article 1D, Facing Off. Rule 4, Section 3, Article 6 now states that it is illegal for a player to deliberately use his hand or fingers to play the ball. This shall be enforced immediately as an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. It is also illegal for a player to grab an opponent's cross with the open hand or fingers, and this shall be enforced immediately as an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Rule 5, Section 10, Article 1D, Personal Fouls, Unsportsmanlike Conduct, now reflects these changes. It now states that the deliberate use of the hand or fingers to play the ball or grab an opponent's cross with the open hand or fingers are a 1 to 3 minute non-releasable penalty. The rule now also notes that inadvertent touching of the ball when the hand is grasping the stick should not be called as an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. Watch these next two clips to see if you can see the face-off player grabbing the ball and directing it with his hand. Officials can do a number of things to allow for a smoother and more consistent game during face-offs. First, the officials on a contest may choose to talk with all the face-off players and a coach from each team at the same time prior to the game. They may discuss the rules, answer questions, and clarify any points of emphasis on the face-offs. This practice allows the officials to clearly convey what the rules are and what they'll be looking for throughout the game. It also allows the face-off players and coaches to ask for any clarification on rules governing face-off play. Second, the officials may communicate with the players prior to putting the players down for the face-off throughout the game as they see fit. This next clip demonstrates how an official may communicate to the players before the face-off.
Before I put the players down, I'm going to stand over the ball while I talk to them to prevent their early access to the ball. So gentlemen, I know you've done this before. I'm going to ask you to go down together and nothing touches the white line. Stick straight up and down and parallel to the line. All right, once I put you down, I'll say down. Once you're set, I will say set and then blow the whistle. There will be a varying amount of time between set and whistle, so be patient. Okay, here we go. Okay, down, set.
Third, the officials' mechanics during and after face-offs is critical to good game management. Watch these next clips to see how the officials position themselves prior to and during the face-off.
Wes Islip with a 5-goal lead, 2:09 left. That broke a streak.
And now he went early, so now it's because he's getting the ball back here at the face-off.
As the Class B state championship is getting underway, and here we go as Arondecoit in the
Rule 4, Section 15, Article 2, Advancing the ball into the goal area. Article 2 of Rule 4, Section 15 now states that the requirement for advancing the ball into the goal area is met when the ball touches anything within that area, or a player in possession of the ball touches the line or is inside the goal area. This rule is now in line and uniform with other rule codes, including the U.S. Lacrosse Youth Rules for Boys Lacrosse. Rule 5, Section 4. In light of the potentially devastating long-term effects of head injuries, it remains a priority of the NFHS and U.S. Lacrosse to eliminate or minimize the frequency and impact of violent checks and collisions. Article 1 of Rule 5, Section 4 now states, a player shall not initiate contact to an opponent's head or neck with a cross-check or with any part of his body, including but not limited to his head, elbow, or shoulders. Any follow-through that contacts the head or neck shall also be considered a violation of this rule. Article 2 of Rule 5, Section 4 was added and now reads, a player shall not initiate an excessive, violent, or uncontrolled slash to the head and/or neck. Article 3 of Rule 5, Section 4 now reads as, a player, including an offensive player in possession of the ball, shall not block an opponent with the head or initiate contact with the head. This is also known as spearing. The penalties for these fouls shall be a 1, 2, or 3-minute non-releasable foul. However, if the contact to the head and/or neck is considered deliberate or reckless, the penalty shall be a minimum 2 or 3-minute non-releasable foul. In addition, any excessively violent violation of this rule may result in an ejection. These following clips all demonstrate violations of this rule. In this first clip, the white team in possession is leading the game with under a minute to go. Watch both blue defenders towards the top of the screen as the ball carrier tries to get out of a double team situation. As the first player initiates contact to the back of the player's neck, the other blue defender delivers a deliberate and reckless slash to the player's head. What would you have called in this situation? The officials in this play got the call right and penalized both players for deliberate and reckless contact to the head and neck, and both received 2 and 3-minute non-releasable penalties. In this next clip, watch the goal defender coming in from the right side of the screen. As the offensive player controls the ball, the goal player comes in and delivers an excessive cross-check to the neck of the white player. Watch the replay, and notice how the defenseman is playing with a portion of his stick between his hands and delivers a check to his opponent's neck. Even though there was some residual action after the initial hit, the officials did an excellent job here by killing the play immediately, getting the players to stop, and then adjudicating a 2-minute non-releasable penalty on the goal defender. In this next play, as the white midfielder brings the ball down and gets the ball checked out of his stick, the red defender, who is sliding towards him, delivers a body check to his opponent's head. What would you have called on this play? Watch the replay for a different angle. Would you call anything differently after seeing this angle? The officials penalized the long stick defender who initiated the contact to the head with a 2-minute non-releasable penalty. They also penalized the other red defender on the play for his contact to the head afterwards. Rule 6, Section 5, Article 2V, Illegal Procedure. Article 2V of Rule 6, Section 5, Illegal Procedure, added a clarification to the delay of game not covered in Rule 6, Section 5, Article 2F, by stating, when no player from the team that is awarded possession picks up the ball and moves to the position of the restart within 5 seconds of when the officials are ready to restart play, will now result in an illegal procedure being called. Rule 6, Section 6, Article 3B, Conduct Foul. Article 3B of Rule 6, Section 6 now allows for a coach or player to enter the table area only to exchange a cross with a player on the field in the opposite end of the field from that team's bench area during a live or dead ball situation. In addition, a coach may enter the table area to seek information from the timer or scorekeeper during a dead ball. This clarification allows the NFHS rule code to be uniform with other rule codes, including the NCAA and U.S. Lacrosse Youth Rules for Boys Lacrosse. Rule 7, Section 3, Resuming play after a penalty. The NFHS has clarified the exception to this rule and removed the wording live ball. Now all simultaneous fouls where time is being served by each team, play will resume at the spot where the ball was when the whistle blew, or laterally outside the goal area nearest to the spot of the ball at the time of the whistle. Rule 7, Section 13, Article 2, Correction of Errors. Article 2 of Rule 7, Section 13 now states that in the event that there is an inadvertent whistle, play shall be suspended immediately. The team with possession or entitled to possession when the whistle was blown shall retain possession. This concludes the NFHS rule interpretation section of this video. For additional resources located on this video, including a U.S. Lacrosse video on concussions in lacrosse and the 2011 and 2012 U.S. Lacrosse You Make the Call video series. These resources, among many others for coaches, parents, players, and officials, can also be found at www.uslacrosse.org.